Thank you for helping Florida Power and Light Company restore service to our customers. You and all the vegetation teams are a critical part of our plan to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. Before you get to work, it's important that you're familiar with our procedures. Know the steps to take in special situations and know who to contact when you have questions or need help. When you arrive at your storm site, you'll be directed to your Vegetation Management Production Lead, or VMPL. The VMPL is the arborist who will be your FPL point of contact. Your VMPL will provide your work plan, approve your time each day, and be there to handle any grounding requests, environmental questions, and other issues that may arise. Nothing is more important than your health and safety, and the health and safety of your coworkers and the customers we serve. So let's start with some important safety reminders. First of all, don't do anything that violates your corporate safety policies. You know the rules, stick to them, and stay safe. You should work hot whenever possible. But if you have any doubts about working hot, you can request grounding. Contact your Vegetation Management Production Lead, who will submit the grounding request and will let you know the next steps. The VMPL is the General Foreman's main point of contact. Be sure to use all required pole wraps and tags. When you're in the field, it's important to have good situational awareness and personal awareness. Find out where roads might be flooded and try to avoid them when possible. Don't get overheated. It can get very hot and humid, so stay hydrated and cool down when needed. Hats and sunblock can also help protect you from the sun. Look out. There are a lot of insects, snakes, and animals. Be aware where you step and what's around you to avoid bites, stings, and all wildlife in general. If you're threatened, either by an environmental or social situation, leave the area, get to a safe location, and notify your VMPL. Make sure you have all necessary emergency phone numbers, and if any safety incident occurs, please report it. Now let's talk about line clearing procedures. All the line clearing activities will be performed in accordance with the OSHA regulation. The policy applies to storm restoration events when work is performed on out-of-service facilities. The line clearing crew must find the open fuse and install a pole wrap on that fuse pole. If a pole wrap is not available, the crew must post a sentry at the site of the open fuse from the time of arrival until the tree work is completed. The crew must also fill out the identification tag. The identification tag must include the name of the supplier or contractor, the name of the person in charge, the name and cell phone number of the Vegetation Management Crew Supervisor or General Foreman, the name and cell phone number of the FPL Vegetation Management Representative or VMPL they report to, and the work location, staging site name. The crew foreperson at the work location should be considered the person in charge or PIC. The PIC must remove the pole wrap and tag upon completion of their work and notify the appropriate individual once they are clear of the line. If the line clearing supervisor or general foreman deems that the line clearing cannot be performed in accordance with the OSHA regulation, the following must be adhered to. The line clearing supervisor or GF will contact the VMPL and request to have the line section properly switched out, tagged, tested to be de-energized, and grounded as required by FPL switching and grounding procedures. Here's what's important to know about your daily timesheets and expenses. Paper forms are being replaced by FPL's iStorm app, which you'll use to log your time and expenses. There will be a separate training to introduce you to the app. Your time should be entered port to port. You can enter your hours worked each day and, if appropriate, mileage and expenses such as food, lodging, and fuel. A vegetation specialist or VMPL will be available to review a paper process if it's needed as a backup. Since FPL will provide fuel, meals, and lodging, expenses submitted for those types of charges will not be approved. Any exceptions or other billable expenses will require pre-approval. Be sure to submit your time every day. As we move through the restoration process, there are key things you should know about our program and how your work affects overall progress. In storm, clearance is the same as our planned maintenance clearance. We trim for a 3-year cycle on our backbones. That typically means 8 to 12 feet of clearance from the primary and 2 to 6 feet clearance from the neutral. When cutting trees, they must be cut to ISA ANSI A300 standards whenever possible. And you should always avoid leaving stubs and cutting into the branch collar whenever possible. Be sure to provide access to poles where practical, but do not remove trees or vegetation without a signed tree work authorization form. Do not leave debris generated from tree trimming where it will block the ability of line crews to pull wire and restore power, or where it will block visibility of traffic. And make sure to look for and address off right-of-way storm-damaged trees. When working in the public and with customers, what you say and do matter. Here are some tips to help things go smoothly. When you arrive, knock on the door. Let them know you're there. Always identify yourself to customers. Be respectful of customers' property and get their permission to do certain types of work when appropriate, such as removing trees or driving on their property. If removing a tree, be sure to complete a Tree Work Authorization Form or TWA with the customer. We know things can happen, so if you break something, be honest and report it so the GF can make arrangements for repair. But keep in mind, you could be held responsible for damages. If you're approached by a customer asking about restoration times, please do not provide power restoration time estimates to our customers. Refer them to FPL.com for the latest information. The FPL app is also a good source for timely and important information. You should never speak with a member of the news media or with a reporter. Please refer them to the FPL media line. Another important thing to keep in mind is perception is reality, so please be careful about how you conduct yourself, not only in person, but also online. Please refrain from posting any visuals or statements on social media. We must work respectfully with our customers and respect the environment where we're working. That means recognizing that many areas we work in are protected environmental lands, and much of the wildlife we may encounter is also protected. Some specific environmental protections include certain birds, snakes, turtles, and many other animals, mammals, and amphibious creatures, the Florida wetlands and Florida mangroves. If you have any doubt about protected areas or species, just ask for help and be sure to view the environmental training video to learn more. Before you leave the processing site, make sure you know where you're going next and be sure to sign the acknowledgement sheet. Also, make sure you have your supplies, including the Vegetation Management Restoration Manual, pole wraps, tree crew identification tags, debris logs, and the Laminated Vegetation Management Storm Policy. But most importantly, stay safe and keep in mind that we are all one team with one goal. Thank you again for being part of our team.